Okay everyone, so this is going to be a tutorial for using VLOOKUP in Microsoft Excel. What's great about VLOOKUP is it really closes the gap between what you can do with a spreadsheet and what you can do with a database. In short, say you've got two sets of information. In this case we have a name and an employer name. Over here we've got name and a phone number. So this name corresponds to this, that these values are in here. And what we want to do is we want to bring over the corresponding phone number into a third cell here. So basically we're going to do a quick overview, then we'll get into the actual code. So what you're going to do is you're going to identify which cell over here that you want. You're going to designate this as the area, the table array as it calls it, that you're matching to, and which cell you want to bring over. Very important to note that whenever you're doing VLOOKUP, when you designate a table array, which you'll see in a minute, the common field has to be the first in the table array. So what's going to happen is you're going to see me highlight this and say this is the table array. The first column in that table array has to match the column that you're matching over here. And these two could be switched back and forth then. So like for instance, employer could be first, name could be second, wouldn't make a difference. But over here when you designate your table array, the common field has to be in the first one. So now I'll type it out now, you'll see it makes more sense when you actually see it typed out. So phone number, we're going to title the column. And this is what it looks like. You start with the equal sign, and then what we're going to do, we're going to type VLOOKUP. You can click on the suggestion that it pops up. It adds an open parenthesis for you. And it says, what's the lookup value? So this is what I'm talking about. When you designate a lookup value, it can be anywhere. The lookup value can be anywhere. So in this case, it happens to be A2 that we're going to start with. Then the table array. So this is what I was talking about. You actually have to select. That easy. You've selected the table array. So this column, the first column, must be the common column between the two sets of data, because it doesn't give you the option of designating what the common column is. It has to be the first one. And then a comma, and then column index. Now in this case it's saying, okay, which is the column that you're going to bring data over from. So this case it's the second column. So I want to stop and point something out here. The first value is the actual column name. It's column A. The table array is also designated by its column names, but the column index number, okay, is the relative column within the text array. So in other words, you're not saying column J, you're saying column 2. It's the second column. Just got to fix that. I typed 1 accidentally. So again, the lookup value is the actual column name. It's A. The parameters of the table array are the actual column names, again in this case I and J, but that column index number, that third value, or third argument I think is the proper term, that third value is the relative column, because it's the second one in here. It's not column J, it's the second column. Comma, and this last one's easy. True or false? In other words, do you want an exact match? If you want an exact match, you choose false. Not quite sure why you'd want to choose a close match. Maybe if you know there's typos or something, but generally speaking, you're going to want an exact match, particularly when you're doing something by name, because so many names are very close. And then you just close parenthesis and you click enter, and there you go. So Jill Valentine 555 1234, Jill Valentine 555 1234. It worked. Now let's copy this, and then you can just drag to select and then paste and watch what happens. See how this one came out NA? If you're new to Excel, you probably don't know that Excel does a lot of extrapolation, that if you put in a value and then you paste it into other cells, it's presuming that you want to change those values accordingly. So watch up here. This was what we started with, A2, and then when you move down, A3, that's fine. We want A3, A4, A5, A6, that's all good. Now let's move back up. I originally designated I1 through J6. Watch what happens when we move down 1. It changes to I2, J7, I3, J8, and so on. So it extrapolated incorrectly. So what you do is before you paste it, okay, you have to lock these in place. So you don't want to lock this, you want it to change A3, A4, A5, that's great. But you want to lock these, both the letter, so the column, as well as the number, the row. And you do that with the $sign. Why? Who knows? But it's been like that for a very, very long time. So $sign. So even though you visually selected this, you can manually click and edit this up here. So a $sign before the letter, a $sign before the number, $sign before the letter, $sign before the number. Now, do this again. We copy, paste, and as you can see, this time it worked. So that that table array does not change; it locks it in place. Now everything should be fine. So Leanne Kennedy, 555000, Leanne Kennedy, 555000. So there you go. That's the basics of using VLOOKUP. Incredibly powerful for a small sample like this. It probably looks ridiculous, but again, if you have this huge spreadsheet, like you're trying to match up 50, 100, 200, phenomenal waste of time trying to do it manually. You're really going to want to use VLOOKUP. I'll probably do a second video about troubleshooting VLOOKUP because there are formatting issues that could make things not work.